All right, welcome in. It is Thursday. It is time for Total Bases. No need to pick and choose the games today. We've already had one rained out, which means we're down to three, so a shorter slate. But that means you get three feature games today. So we're going to go deep dive into all three because we don't usually have time to do this on a different day. Let's go around the horn before we get into it. Welcome in Bryan Leonard. Bryan, how's your week going so far? What do you have to say about baseball season to this point? We're a week in, which means we've got 6 months to go.
It's basically a small sample size. A lot of people are thinking the Angels are a contender, and Cleveland's played very well. And you just got to realize that this is just, if this happened in the middle of the season, these things happen in the middle of the season, nobody would overreact. But they are overreacting. And I will say, Smith for the White Sox, we've been a big fan of his coming into the season, and he has not looked good. So there's some things to take about it, the baseball season so far, but just keep in mind that it's early. Things are going to happen. It happens all the time, and don't overreact. We've talked about Toronto Blue Jays starting pitching staff, and I'm still very concerned about that. But overall, my biggest concern so far is why do we have umpires behind the plate other than to call outs and at the plate? It's obvious that the computer system works better. And this challenge thing, I hope it's a 1 year thing, because there's some of these plays, you continually watch a team in the first 6 innings of the game, a clear ball that they call a strike, and they're not allowed to challenge it because they only have 2 challenges left. They just need to get rid of the umpires for calling the balls and strikes, and let the computer do it.
I know Tokyo Brandon's got some opinions on this, so I want to bring him in here. And we also, so Bryan, can you try to refresh your video feed? For someone's telling me that you are a black box right now on the screen. So, oh no, you're back. Okay, I think we're good. Tokyo Brandon, you've been DMing me about the ABS since the beginning of the season. Now that we've got a couple minutes as people file in, what are your thoughts on it? Give us.
You've been ignoring my DMs. But yeah, I love the challenge system. Baseball does some stupid things sometimes, like the ghost runner and tying the All-Star game into home field in the World Series and stupid things like that. But this time they got it right. I love the challenge system. I wish, like you said, just get rid of the umps and let's do it this way. Because if it was like football where you have to wait 5 minutes for the call to New York and all that, then I'd be against it. But man, these are split-second decisions. They don't stall the game. I've heard the arguments, well, it's hurting the umpires' feelings. When did we ever care about umpires' feelings before? It's hurting the fabric of the game. Well, if the fabric of the game is inaccurate calls, then maybe your game needs to be changed. I love the challenge system. I love it. I think it's great. And I love the fact that Buckner got 20 of his calls overturned in one game. I love it so much. I think they should tie the ABS system to umpire rankings and fire the ones that get too many wrong, frankly, and give a raise to the ones that get them right.
They actually, in tennis, they do this. It's on every play. It's instantaneous. Why do they even need to challenge? Why don't the umpire have a thing that's just a buzz and a ding? I mean, how hard is it? And he'll call it.
We don't need an umpire. Another argument I heard is they're sad that the managers don't fight with the umpires anymore. Who cares? Let's just play baseball. So, baseball's about betting now, and you got to be accurate.
Well, that's I see. This is like the reason I haven't been ignoring it, but it's like. This doesn't help anyone cash tickets, though. That's the thing. Like, right. The way I look at it is this: like, we're here to talk betting. No one really cares about like what my opinion is on the ABS. If you want to, I've said for 3 years because I bet minor league baseball that it's a fantastic addition to the game. I don't know if we need to go full KBO and just automate the umps yet because I have issues with that as well. But again, I don't think anyone's asking Adam Trigger what his thoughts are on that. And I also don't know how that helps you win bets. And that's what we're here to do is win bets. So we do have 3 games. We're going to get to everything today. That's why I felt like that was a good spot for that. So let's get into it. Early, so we have 1 early game, 2 late. The middle game was squeezed out by weather today. And so let's start things off in Kansas City, where I was 2-1 overall yesterday. I took a loss on this game with the Twins. It turned into a complete mess. There was fog. There was weather. We almost had a comeback. Bryan Leonard, I'm sitting there thinking, hey, we got first and second. Nobody out. The one win for the Twins and what has been a very disappointing first 5 games for this team, at least for me, because I was quite high on them coming into the season, and that doesn't change to this point. It's only 5 games. But the one win for them was they got Lucas Erceg in the game yesterday and forced him to come and close out a game that was 12-1 at one point. He probably shouldn't have had to been in in that game in a save situation, but he was. Weather galore here in Kansas City today. Looks like we could have 25-mile-an-hour winds. So Twins Royals, decent pitching matchup. But that weather might change that a little bit. How are you seeing this one?
Yeah, when you take a look at the Daily Stadium report, we're looking at 8% more runs in Kauffman Stadium. The wind is blowing out. Home runs are going to be a factor. They're expecting 18% more home runs in this game than a normal game, which is basically about half a home run, 0.41. So if you're looking to play individual players, look for that home run props in Kansas City. I think you're going to get a little bit of value there. But yeah, I do an afternoon segment, or I do another game that we break down, and I broke down that game yesterday, and I had Minnesota in that game. And if you take a look at Ryan's stats from the cards that Pitcher List puts out, he pitched a lot better than his results were. But it was a strange game, and it was a crazy game. And we may see more of that again today in Kauffman Stadium. We do have on today's card, it's Bradley against Reagans. Reagans being the lefty. Reagans is about a 155 favorite right now. Total 9.5, slightly to the under. You rarely see, Bradley didn't have a good season last year, but he made some changes in the offseason. I would expect a better year out of him, but you rarely see Cole Reagans in a game in Kansas City with a total of 9.5. So that tells you how the wind is going in this game. But we've got Taj Bradley against Reagans. And if you take a look at what has happened last year, obviously Taj Bradley did not have a good season. But I expect much better out of him. If you take him versus righties, he's got basically a 13 strikeout minus walk ratio last year, which was not good. And against lefties, he's got like a 11.5. Now, that was last year, and we've already seen a lot of pitchers that made changes this year, and if things have worked out better. I expect a better effort out of him. Probably going to see 5 lefties and 4 righties in the matchup today. When you're looking at Cole Reagans, probably looking at 6 righties and 3 lefties. Last year, against a right-handed pitcher, against right-handed batters, Cole Reagans, get this, a 40.5 strikeout percentage in games. He played basically faced righties 48 innings. So that's what, 140 something batters, 40.5 strikeout rate, 7.5 walk rate. That's unheard of. Now against lefties, it was a more realistic 28.2 and 11.5. So he does walk a little bit more lefties, and he is going to see only 3 lefties today. So I think Reagans, if he could battle the wind, he should be in a pretty good spot here. And the numbers okay. And as you mentioned, they had to use bullpen arms yesterday that they normally wouldn't have used. That is going to hurt them a little bit today, but still, it should be a fun game to watch if you like strange things to happen.
TB, I want to get you in here because I found out that you were on the Twins through someone commenting and said, hey, I'm riding with you and Tokyo Brandon on the Twins. And I said, well, in my head, I was like, well, great minds think alike. I'm glad TB is on the Twins. That makes me like them even more. I'm kind of chalking it up to the same thing Bryan was. I mean, at one point, the fog was so thick that like you couldn't, I don't know what it was like in the ballpark, but on camera, like you couldn't even see the outfield wall. It was just a really strange game. And, for me, looking at the, those last 3 innings, the Twins finally, bats wake up. They score 8 runs. Can they carry that into today?
So I went 3-1 yesterday. The Twins was not my loss. The Mets was my loss. The Twins I put out as a free play and also the parlay leg
Gotcha.
on the show yesterday. But I won with the Padres because I thought they would bounce back, and they did. And I won with a couple of others. But anyway, enough patting myself on the back. I have a 5% play in this game, the Minnesota game, and Minnesota Royals game. So I'm going to break it down, but I'm going to try not to give away my play. On my Twitter, Tokyo Brandon,
TV, do you want me to make your life easier so you don't have to like potentially divulge your play here?
No, I'll break it down. It's
okay, go ahead.
If you go to my Twitter, I put up pitcher OPSs against the batters they're facing today, and I also put the outs projections for all the pitchers today. It was very easy because there's only 6 of them. So take a look at my Twitter. You'll see all that for free. And looking at, despite yesterday's balloon totals, neither one of these lineups, I don't think either one of these lineups are particularly scary. Bullpens are somewhat trashy for both teams, at least in current form right now. And I have Taj Bradley ranked a little bit higher than Reagan's. In current form, Reagan's overall is probably the better pitcher overall talent-wise. My numbers when I run them, this is not my 5% play, but this is another play that my numbers suggested to me was Taj Bradley's strikeouts over 4.5. It's plus 111 right now. I'm not going to play it because I don't like it, but my numbers are screaming at me to take it. And when I did a little bit of a deep dive, I found out that in all of his starts against these Royals, he's averaging 5.5 strikeouts per start. So Taj Bradley's strikeouts over might be good for plus money value wise. When you have a value bet like this, it's not good to like go all in on it. These value bets for plus money are ones that you put, a little bit on and try to build your bankroll a little bit. It's not something you go all in on, but my numbers love Taj Bradley's strikeout total. And I'll leave it at that for now. Take a look at the OPS numbers. They're very interesting.
Yeah, this was an easy pass for me. As soon as I saw the weather, it was pretty much like, and I of course, even watching last night, felt like the ball started to carry later in that game as the weather picked up. At one point, they were playing in a downpour. And Josh Bell hit one that it felt like kind of like a fly ball to left field that landed 15 rows into the seat. So, if it's anything like that, like that's the difficult part about this handicap is you almost have to just ask yourself who's set up for more swing and miss here, because the ball gets put in play and it's going to fly out like that. That would be my concern with even trying to, find a way into this game. So what I will say about the Twins in general, because on one of our first shows, I said I was high on this team this year. I went back, looked at their roster, looked at the AAA roster. I've been watching St. Paul Saints games, and I realized that a lot of the guys that I'm excited about in this organization are still at AAA. So for me, the Twins are on the shelf. I'm done with the Twins. I know it's a 5-game sample, but listen, that's concern. The 5-game sample is against the Orioles and the Royals. 2 teams that I think are like middling, you're 1-4 against 2 teams that are middling at best, in my opinion, in the American League. It's not like they had to go to the Bronx and play the Yankees the first 3 games of the season. They haven't hit at all. People are asking for props. I'll say the one guy, if he's in the lineup, that I may, be interested in targeting a prop that I thought like kind of hit the ball hard yesterday, but hasn't hit the ball at all was Brooks Lee. He had a couple, I think he's batting sub 200 right now. I have no idea if he's even going to be in the lineup today or where he will be in the lineup, but, batted 9th yesterday, 1 for 4, but a couple of his outs were pretty loud. And he's a guy that has like kind of sneaky pop that could get into one. So I'm just going to throw that out there. If Brooks Lee's in the lineup, I take a flyer on him, maybe to hit a home run today. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, because of the way the game went yesterday, Kansas City's bullpen threw 123 pitches. The bullpen, 123 pitches for the team that won the game. Keep in mind, they didn't play on Tuesday. So there's only a few of those guys that may not play in this game. But having that day off on Tuesday, they should reset pretty well, even though they did throw all those bullpen pitches.
I'm sorry to cut in, but
go ahead.
Speaking about hitters, I ran my numbers for what hitters could have a big day. I post that on Twitter sometimes too, but today I'm not going to because the sample's so small. But my numbers are saying James McCann and Willie Adames are primed for betting props. If you feel like betting a hitter prop today, I would not bet it. Well, Adames is actually pretty hot. 2 days ago and yesterday, he actually got over his hits, runs, RBIs props. So, just a side note. We have time today.
The numbers I have show that Buxton to hit a home run is an excellent. I'm not a home run prop kind of guy, but Buxton to hit a home run is pretty high.
Lucas Salvatore in the chat. This is actually probably, I think Brooks Lee would be kind of a big time flyer because he'll probably be down, near the bottom of the order. Who knows if he's even in the lineup? Luke Keschel's the guy that I think is the best player on this Twins team in terms of obviously Buxton's the best player, but from an upside standpoint, I think Keschel could be a star. He showed flashes last year. He worked around 3 different injuries. Tommy John surgery 2024, 2025 he broke his arm in the middle of the season, came back, he was still playing great. He had thumb surgery or something in the offseason, so I wonder if that's tied to a little bit of a slow start. But Lucas, I'm very much with you. He's a guy that I would think if you can buy low on him right now, I think he would be a good prop guy in this game as well. All right, Tokyo Brandon, back to you. Let's head out west. We have 2 games that, in my opinion, are a little bit more interesting. I think there's more likely that I find a bet in one of these 2. I was going to go in order, but now I'm going to City by the Bay. I wonder who he wants to talk about here. City by the Bay says stay away from run line and home run bets after we just gave out a whole bunch of home run bets. But you know what? When there's a 30-mile-an-hour wind blowing out, I think you can mess with home run bets just a little bit. He says he likes Mets over 3.5 on the team total. Sounds like City by the Bay is fading his team out in the Bay tonight with that team total. So Tokyo Brandon, to you, Mets Giants. How are you seeing this one?
So taking a quick look at the pitchers, Robbie Ray, David Peterson, 2 teams that are in a bit of a quagmire here as far as hitting is concerned. I put out a free play video on WagerTalk's YouTube channel today. They probably have not uploaded it yet, so here's your sneak preview. But I would go under in this one for sure, especially in the first 5 innings, because both pitchers have pretty good history against the batters they're facing. Robbie Ray has a 553 OPS in 82 at-bats against the batters he's facing today. Peterson is a 684. So good sample size that I can trust, and neither one of these teams are hitting anything. I think San Francisco got their first run in the 3rd game of the season or something. And then now the Mets have a lot more talent than the Giants, but they're not. I mean, Bichette's getting booed, and they need to turn things around pretty quick. And I don't think today's the day they do it. So I saw 4.5 on the first 5 under. I don't think these 2 teams can generate 1 run per inning at the beginning of this game, especially with the pitcher's historical numbers against the other team. I put this out on my free play video.
We'll get Brian in here. I would have a hard, City by the Bay says Mets team total over 3.5. I think if I was going to play an over, that's the only way I could look, because the Giants, not only have they not hit this lineup, I said, I think on the very first day, show we did when they were up against Max Fried, does not line up well against left-handed pitching. They didn't last year, and I don't think they're going to again this year. So up against a lefty here, I think it would have to be Mets correlated stuff. The only way I could look at this one. How are you seeing it?
Yeah, you mentioned both lefties going in this game, and Peterson is a guy who, when he's good, he's excellent, and when he's bad, he gets hit pretty heavily. For the hitting, keep in mind this is only a 5-game sample size, but the Mets right now, I believe, are second worst in baseball on hitting with players in scoring position. And you get certain teams that get on a hot streak. I'm not a big believer in clutch or any of that stuff. So it's just a small sample size. The Mets will be able to hit decently, averagely, when nobody's on base, but they can't hit with the runners in scoring position. Eventually, that's going to even out a little bit. So, I wouldn't have any problem playing them over. And as a matter of fact, Robbie Ray had a big comeback season last year. I've been looking to fade him a little bit. And when I took a look at the two teams, even though the Mets haven't got off to a good start, they're the better team here. The Giants are expected to be in third place in that division, way behind the Dodgers. I think the Mets are the team. I'm not a big Phillies fan this year, so I think the Mets win that division. And so to catch the Mets in a basic situation where only laying on 120 or something, that would be the side I would look for in this game.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. For me, it's Mets or pass, and kind of trying to talk myself into a Mets bet. Odds were sort of on where I made it, minus 115, minus 120 range. So, but, on a day where you have 3 games, you kind of have to get creative sometimes. I don't think the books are just going to hand you a ton of like side or even total value a lot of times on a short slate like this. So I think the price is in line with what it should be. But there is, for me, and again, trying not to overreact to small samples, 6 games into the season. I do have some concerns with the Giants, and that's even after they went and took 2 of 3 in San Diego. I don't think the Padres are a great baseball team this year. So when I look at that series and say, okay, the Giants did take 2 of 3, I still can't shake the Yankee series, kind of how the manager looked a little bit lost in almost like he's in over his head a little bit. And then you start to go back to last season. You see how this team has struggled against left-handed pitching. If you remember back to last year, the Giants were like dead and buried. They go on this sort of crazy run, I think into August, where it was almost just like they were feeding off of like some new energy. I think they brought Drew Gilbert in, and like he had the dugout all jazzed up. But then when push came to shove, they started losing games, and they kind of regressed to what they might end up being this year again. Brian, you were kind of nodding right there. Is that kind of how you're seeing the Giants right now too?
Yeah, it's more of a situation for myself that I think the Mets are the better team. I have a chart that I look at. It talks about lucky wins. You see this a lot when if you're doing college basketball. There's a lot of places out there that have that kind of thing. You had mentioned yesterday the Colorado Rockies, and congratulations on that. The 3 teams that are the unluckiest in Major League Baseball right now are the Mets, the Rockies, and the Angels. I can agree with the Mets and the Rockies. I still think the Angels, I'm not a big Angels fan, but the 3 luckiest teams have been Houston, a team that I continue to fight and not win, Toronto, and St. Louis, a team that I like coming into the season. So with the Mets in the situation right now where they've been very unlucky, and if you talk about, like as I said earlier, about hitting with runners in scoring position, I think this is just a bargain price. And for the Giants, I don't know if he's in over his head. I'd like the bold move of bringing somebody in who's not a retread as a manager. The worst thing I see is these managers that are just not very good, and they continue to get hired and hired again because there's nobody else out there. Give the college coaches a chance. Give the assistant coaches a chance. Let them see what you can do. I like that move from the Giants. We'll see how this team goes. I'm not a huge Giants fan this year, but I think the Mets are the right side in this game.
G Hurt, he says, I don't think the Mets off a travel day on the West Coast in this matchup are minus 120. Listen, I make it minus 116. They're minus 120 right now. He says looks like more of a coin flip. I don't know. Where I have the Mets power rated, that's not a coin flip. I have the Mets sort of like categorically better than the Giants. So I agree with the market. I don't know if there's enough of an edge for me to play. Tokyo Brandon, I want to go to you because, we kind of got the D-backs kind of shoved it in our face the last couple of days. We talked about their bullpen not being very good. What did they do? They went in and won 3 close games where they needed the bullpen to shut down each game. Yesterday, they win a game 1-0. So Braves come to town tonight, and Arizona suddenly hot. Big sweep of the Tigers. Are you changing your opinion at all on the Diamondbacks, and how do you want to play this one, Braves D-backs?
Suddenly hot. That's being generous.
That's the Tigers. That's suddenly hot. You sweep the Tigers. That's a good result right there.
True. Yeah, the Diamondbacks do have power in their lineup. They have nice looking on offense. They're really fun to watch, but in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, they are not fun to watch. They're like watching the Bad News Bears. They don't even have a left-handed guy in their bullpen. Teams are going to take advantage of that and just score the crap out of this team. And today they play a team that I have the bullpen ranked number 4. Ronaldo Lopez, Ryan Nelson. These are 2 pitchers that probably no one feels really confident backing either one. They do have decent numbers against the batters they're facing in their history. But again, I mentioned yesterday, the caveat to that is it could have been 10 years ago. So we can't really say how they did in the last 5 years or something like that. Well, I do actually do that when I run my numbers, but that's more of a deep dive. So I trust Lopez a little bit more, and I definitely trust Atlanta's bullpen a little bit more, but I think Atlanta's got a good lineup too when they're playing well. The problem with Atlanta is they're just too hot and cold sometimes. They have actually more star power than the Diamondbacks do. The Diamondbacks have more of a every day they're going to score 5 runs kind of offense, where Atlanta, they could score 10, they could score 1. They're really hot and cold like a microwave. So I don't know. I put a free play out on Atlanta because I think, given the matchup, I think -112 is a very fair price for a possible playoff team opposed to a last place team. So, the Rockies are there, so they might not be last place, but they'll be near the Rockies, in my opinion, towards the end of the year. So I think -12 is a good price for the Atlanta Braves. I wouldn't go crazy on it, but a small percent.
Ryan, my biggest numerical edge today, which is not very big. It's not, it's not big relative to what the biggest would be on a day where there was 15 games, is the Braves. I show some value, like Tokyo Brandon at -112. I do show a little value to the Braves on the road here, but I've got my concerns. So I'm curious to see how you look at this one, Braves, Diamondbacks, and if you can get to the window with either side.
Yeah, I don't want the Braves here. Ronaldo Lopez got hurt early last season, didn't really pitch much, so he's been gone for a long time. And in the preseason, he was having velocity problems. I wasn't even sure he was going to make the starting rotation, but because Atlanta's had so many injuries, very similar to the Blue Jays, so many injuries to the starters that they got to throw him out there. I don't think he goes long in this game. I like Ryan Nelson. I like the changes he made last year. And I think he's the better pitcher out of the 2, especially with Lopez coming back from injury, and he hasn't proven that he's back yet. And this was a guy who was, for the most part, an afterthought even before he got injured. So his better days have been behind him. I don't want any part of him on the mound here against an Arizona team that is, say what you want about Arizona's pitching staff, but they've got a good hitting ball club. They've probably got too many good hitters that they can't get them into the lineup, especially these outfielders. So if I'm playing the home team in this one, although, to be honest with you, with 3 games on today's card, who knows if I'm even going to have a play. But just something a little bit different than what you guys have been talking about with Atlanta. And I personally, until Atlanta gets some of these starting pitchers back, I don't consider them to be a playoff team. They got some great hitters on this team, some really good players, but that's a tough division.
I feel like you can't completely throw out 2024, though. I mean, the guy had a sub-2 ERA in 135 innings, with 148 strikeouts. Like that is like not a small, that is an insanely good season. Now, last year he comes out, gets hurt. I was concerned with the velo as well in the spring, but then in his first start of the regular season, he comes out, he's throwing 97. I think he gives up one hit over 6 innings against the Royals, which again is it's one start. I'm not huge on the Royals this year either. He's certainly up against a tougher lineup tonight in a ballpark that's going to be a far more hitter-friendly scenario than what that opening game was against the Royals. I'm with you, Brian. I love Ryan Nelson. That's the other thing. Even where I'm at with the D-backs and even with showing a little value against the Braves, I'm very high on Nelson. His first start, that stat line's maybe a little bit unfair. Thought he was a little unlucky. And I didn't think he pitched his, you take a look at his ERA, 7.71, right? Like, I didn't think he threw it that badly against the Dodgers. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm confident enough here to really play either side. I'll bring TV back in here to close it down. Can you find a prop in this one for us?
Not really. I mean, I'll just rattle off my outs since there's only 6 pitchers here. I'm projecting Ryan Nelson to only go 14 outs, but I don't know how accurate that'll be. I got Lopez going 16. I'm against you guys on the Nelson thing. I'm not a fan of his, but we all have our reasons. We all have our different approaches. I would stay away from a prop though. I'm not sure if I trust my projection there, Ryan Nelson, 14 outs. But Atlanta's lineup, they're not the Dodgers, but I mean, there's little rest when you're facing those 9s. So he could get knocked out early. It's possible.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I don't do my own projections like TB does, but I do have other places where I buy their projections, and they've got a 50% chance that Nelson gets a quality start, and that's the highest on the card today. Lopez is actually 24%, along with Bradley 24 and Peterson 28. So they have him going 5.8 innings. So he's going to be in the game a little bit longer, according to these projections, and I consider him the better pitcher. So we'll see. We'll see how this one works out. I had mentioned Buxton earlier. You're able to get him at plus 385 to hit a home run. I think that's a pretty good bargain. So we'll have to see Vinny Pasquantino also 3.9 or 390 come back on that. So that wouldn't be bad either. So we'll see how this goes. But if you're looking at the home run reports overall, like I said, Kansas City 18%. San Francisco, strange because the wind always seems to be blowing out in San Francisco, but it kind of circles it. And so they're projecting 19% less, even though the wind is blowing out in San Francisco. You always have to take that with a grain of salt because of the way the wind blows in San Francisco.
I'll throw one out there. So, with the props, if you're willing to take a chance on a guy hitting 8th or 9th, typically you're going to get a better number on those guys because the books are all pricing all of that in. If the guy's, hitting 8th or 9th, he's typically down there at the bottom of the order. His prop is going to be like, they know all this, right? They're going to juice up the guy. They're going to juice up the guys that might get the extra at bat. And so I talked about Brooks Lee with the Twins. Jordan Lawler's quietly got a couple of hits in a row. I feel like we've been waiting 5 years for him to realize his potential. And that's the guy, if he's in the lineup today and Lopez comes out suddenly throwing 94 again instead of hitting 97. If that happens, I'll tell you what, if you can, I don't know how much you trust the velo on the screen. If Lopez's velo is 94 as opposed to hitting 97 like he did when he was all jacked up on opening day, I'd probably start live betting against the Braves if that was the case. Because that was the big concern. And then I read that he had a mechanical issue in the spring too that he was trying to work around. That's concern to get blown up right there. So that was my big concern is he comes out, suddenly he's not hitting 97 on the gun. And then the D-backs, hit him with a 6-run inning. So that's something to look for, I think. And again, usually we're, when we don't have huge opinions on a normal slate, we're just, kind of moving game to game.
Mhm.
But we got to improvise a little bit. There's only 3 games. Actually, I had this grand handicap for Blue Jays White Sox, and it got canceled last night. So I was all set to, come with that game, and it got canceled last night. So we are still going to figure out 3 plays for the parlay. It's going to be a little bit more difficult than normal, but I'm going to go to Tokyo Brandon, give him the floor. He's already told you he's got a 5% play at WagerTalk today. So TB, find a show play for me here and talk to us about what else you got going on at WagerTalk.
Sure. I do have a 5% play up. There's a couple of really good deals WagerTalk has going on right now. First of all, out of us 3, you can pick 2 of us and make it a double play. 3-day all access to 2 of us. That's one deal, but WagerTalk's also doing a 6-for-3 deal. For the price of 3 days access, you can get 3 days for free. So 6 days for the price of 3 for any capper, even outside of us 3. So really good deals going on at WagerTalk. So go to wagertalk.com and check that out, and check our pages out, because if you go to experts, Brian, Adam, and I all have a page there that shows a bunch of stuff, our free plays, our latest videos and things like that. So check all of that out. I'm glad you're giving me the first choice, because there's such slim pickings today. I'll take Atlanta on the money line then, if I get the first choice. And is that what either one of you would have taken?
Nope. You can have that.
Okay.
That's fine.
Cool. Oh yeah, you guys like Nelson. Okay, that's right. I don't. Well, and as soon as I say that, Brian's laughing. As soon as I say that, he's going to go out and pitch 7 scoreless innings, right? Because every time I fade someone, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Well,
every time I trash talk someone, that's exactly what happens. So we'll see.
I just don't like how much unknown there is. Like, listen, if you get into a close game here in the later innings, you have to like the Braves, because the Diamondbacks bullpen, I still think is pretty poor, and they've just used like every leverage reliever they have over the last 3 days to close out 3 one-run wins. So Bryan Leonard, you always talk about, some games being a better live betting game. Would Diamondbacks Braves qualify as that?
Yeah, I would think so. There's got to be a better live betting game than they had pregame as for these 3, because I'm having a hard time coming up with even a part of a parlay here. I'm going to take a look at the Mets. You're laying 120. Let's just say 120. You can get better than that out there, but even worse in some places. But I prefer the Mets in this game. I just think eventually the hitters are going to come around, and we're going to get some better luck out of the Mets. I talked about it being an unlucky team. So I consider the Mets division winner. I consider San Francisco a third-place team. And with a near pick'em situation, I'll take the Mets.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably my strongest lean on the slate today, is the Mets, and so I agree with you there, Brian. Are you seeing? What, minus 120?
I'm seeing anywhere from minus 118 to minus 125. The sharper books are in the lower range. So yeah, you can go 122. Let's just say just to cover most of it.
All right, you guys left me with the game that I want no part of, but that's okay, because I'm going to find, I think I've gotten a play in that game, as we talked about it, that I will make my play first. AB covers. Yeah, we are doing full court press today. So Rob Viano and I will be on at the top of the hour to break down the NIT semifinals, which I will be at tonight in Hinkle Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. Looking forward to that. And we'll also talk, we may get to some Final Four. Our Final Four show is tomorrow. So yeah, we will have full court press today, tomorrow, and then our final show will be Championship Monday. So, if you're interested in that, that'll be 10 a.m. Eastern right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. We also have a great double play package. So even though there's not a ton of MLB today, I'll probably have something in AAA. I hit the Charlotte Knights last night. We've got KBO off and running. TB is involved in the Asian leagues as well. And you can pick 2 of your handicappers. So great day to, try the double play. TB's got the 5%er. So you get the 5%. I mean, it almost just doesn't make sense to, if you're going to buy the 5%er, why not, get the 2-for-1.
3 days,
really,
or 3
yeah,
days,
3 days.
of
It's,
two of us, right? Almost the same price.
it's the more cost-effective option. So that is the double play. Any two handicappers up on all of our pages. But yeah, I guess I strongly encourage one of those cappers to be TB today because he's got a 5% play.
Cool.
Hopefully I'm not
Bear
going
down
against
Arizona alum. Bear down Arizona. We're going to win the national championship. First time since what? 93, I think.
97. Miles Simon, Mike Bibby. They beat the Kentucky Wildcats in overtime,
Yeah.
Brian. 1997.
I remember the series,
it was-
but yeah,
It was the Sean Elliott when I was there. So
Sean
and Steve
Elliott,
Kerr
hell of a guy.
when I went
Yep,
there.
that was the famous call where Simon says championship, and I think it is the last time. If you were to split the country down the middle, I think it's the last time someone like west of like the middle of the U.S. has won the national championship, which is a little unfair because like 2/3 of the schools are on the other side of the line.
I didn't know
So,
that.
Good
gotta
point.
take that
UCLA,
point.
Gonzaga, Arizona. There's pretty good teams on the West
Yeah,
Coast.
they haven't won though. The last team to actually win was the 97 Arizona Wildcats. So I
Before
think
that,
the
UNLV,
furthest west. I think the furthest west to win since then would either be Baylor or Kansas. So right in the middle of the country.
Interesting. Not even Durant's,
point
Texas.
out
Or
even though baseball's only got 3 games today, I'm on the hockey show in an hour, 15 minutes, and there's a full slate of hockey bets out there. So yeah, even if the baseball card is short, there's plenty of ways to make money out there.
Absolutely.
Shout out Puck Time, the OG show. If you're into hockey, that's where you should be, and it'll be even. I mean, the playoffs are around the corner. I think getting close.
Yeah, about 8 games left for each team.
As a fair weather like hockey guy that doesn't really know much about hockey, like I'll sit there and just watch hockey playoffs in my that's something I want to do with my free time. It's just electric.
Yeah, to go to an actual game and watch sports, I would prefer hockey over anything.
I agree.
Continuous excitement. And I love baseball. I love baseball, but hockey's the most exciting.
The last hockey game I went to, you were there, Brian.
Yeah. I don't remember who won, but we were there.
I went with you and Marco and Marco's wife. Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm gonna do for the parlay, I'm gonna go with the over in this Royals Twins game. We sat there and gave out home run prop after home run prop, and I'm hoping they all hit. That's what I'm doing. I'm hoping they all hit. With that being said, I think there's 2 things. One, I think that enough contact is made where we see a little bit of offense. 2, I'm not thrilled with either bullpen setup today. So even if Taj Bradley's notorious for leaving one up every once in a while. That's like if he misses, he does miss up, and he will let you elevate the ball. We talked about some Twins props. The Royals hitting the ball out a couple times is not crazy either, especially if Bradley gets caught, with one of those heaters that kind of stays up in the zone. I'm going to take it down to over 9. So it's going to be the juiced version. Over 9. I think TB, can you tell me what an over 9 is? Is it like minus 125? Something like that? Because I think the over 9.5 is even money, but for the parlay's sake, I want over 9.
I'm not the guy to ask, but
Yeah,
I'll have it in just one moment.
I'm pretty sure the alt total on that is going to be like minus 125. So here's what we'll do.
122.
I see a 20 at DraftKings right now.
Beautiful. I'll call it minus 125 just because I think that's that'll cover everyone. I just think with a 30-mile-an-hour wind blowing out, the fact that you've got, the Twins bullpen is very questionable, even at full strength. And then the Royals use some arms. I think if you could get a crooked number early there, you get to 4-4, you're pushing. That's as good as it's going to get for me today, I think. So we'll go over 9, which makes the parlay today. Tokyo Brandon's going Braves. It's minus 112. Brian's going to go Mets minus 120. And I'm going to go Royals Twins over 9 That is your 3-teamer. That's your show. We will be someone saying I look like Luka Doncic. I mean, I don't know about that. I wish I had his game. I'll tell you that much.
I said
wish I could ball like that.
Money.
Oh, Adam, before we cut off, we should tell everyone that we're doing a Saturday show this week.
Yes. Great call, Tokyo Brandon. We are bringing Total Bases to Saturday. We will fill the last call time slot. So the show, this same show, will be on at 11 a.m. Eastern on Saturday. So we're going to 6 days a week. Tomorrow we'll be back in our normal weekday time slot at 9 a.m. with a lot more games to talk about. So you got the sort of the unabridged version here, right? The extended cut of the 3 games today. Tomorrow it's back to rapid fire, getting through the games, and hopefully some better stuff to bet. But you know what, guys? This is how it works. We're going to hit this parlay today because it's 3 games we didn't really care about. It's going to be the one that wins. So good luck today, and we'll see you guys in the morning for more Total Bases.